This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hello everybody, it is Party Loaded time. My name is Luke. You're here for episode 90 on the 9th of, well, it's the 8th, so not all 9s. Anyway, it's the 9th of August. It is the evening of Wednesday where we do the show every week without fail with the coolest people in video gaming and Ollie and Mimo. Hey guys.
Asshole. You know. Hey.
That's actually a sideways compliment to Jam not being here tonight, I guess. So I should probably retract that.
That's why I'm surprised.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
She is the coolest person in video games.
Well, she's super cool
temp
tonight.
Jam or regular Jam?
I don't know. Let's work that one out.
Both of them.
Yes.
They're the same.
Or the Jam.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When
they're not on the podcast, they go back into the same jar.
Funny story. I'd have to check the exact dates, but I think it may be about a year today that the Temp Jam meme was actually born on our show. I think it's pretty close to that date. I have to go back and check that one. Yeah. We will see if we can...
look back in our extensive wiki page for all of our fans.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, it's been an interesting week. Today is International Cat Affection Day or something. I don't know what the actual name of the thing is. We've had some cool Pickle Ricks this week and Game of Thrones and all sorts of bits and pieces. But I want to ask you guys, in the theme of the cat celebration that is today, what is your favourite pet story related to cats? Mimo, go. Can you think of anything?
I've got a great one.
Yeah.
So my mum has a cat whose name is Widget, not named after Widget the World Watcher, but solid reference if you got that.
Okay.
And you know how cats have whiskers? And that's how they tell like how wide things are and when they can squeeze through things?
Yeah.
Well, Widget never learnt that she could squeeze through things, just that her whiskers were telling her she didn't fit. So we have a photo of her trying to get through a door where she could have just pushed her way through, and instead she's on her back feet and sideways, like trying to like sideways get into the room. It is the best. She is not a great cat. She's a very effective dog and not a great cat. So that is my hilarious cat story.
Nice. Now, Ollie, you're traditionally more of a dog person, so I'm actually curious if you do have a cat story. You got anything interesting?
I do have a cat story.
Yeah?
So I used to own a absolutely monstrous Russian blue back at 2 houses ago, as far as moving is concerned. We used to live in the bush, and he was gigantic. Like he was like a 9-kilo cat, and none of that was fat. Like he was pure muscle. He was basically like a Russian blue meets bobcat, essentially. And I'll never forget the image of him sneaking up on a bird and jumping 3 meters, like out of a tree to catch this bird midair, and then casually drop and walk off and be like, "Yep, that's cool."
Terrifying.
Yep. He would purr like a car engine, and he was really warm when he went into your bed or sat on your lap. You're like, "Oh God, I'm dying."
Wow. That thing sounds
cool
massive.
Cat.
Yeah.
He was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, nice. I had a cat that jumped through a glass window at my house once. That was an interesting event. So we had large hanging basket plants out in the backyard, sort of suspended by chains. And the cat was just hanging around by the back door. And one of the chains actually broke and shattered, and the plant sort of landed on the ground with such a thud that it scared the cat so bad that it actually tried to jump through the door, not realizing it was closed, and shattered the glass and did not take a scratch. It was totally fine.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Just very, very
Still,
stunned.
poor kitty.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing that it was able to get up that amount of momentum and force to get through that door, like at point blank range. It was just, absolutely bizarre that it even happened. But yeah,
it's such a small surface area. That's why
Yeah. Or I guess if you're properly motivated, you're just going to smash through anything to get the hell out of there. So, yeah.
Fair.
One of those things. Yeah. But anyway, so cats aside, we should stop pussyfooting around and talk about some games. So.
Oh, I like what you did there.
Yeah, I like it too.
I don't.
I would like to pick up where we left off last week and chat a little bit more Sundered, because I've put a bit more time into that game in the last 7 days since talking about it on episode 89. So now you guys might remember that the main sort of points that I sort of mentioned last week regarding Sundered was that I was really enjoying the game, but I had a couple of major issues with it around the repetitive nature of the game and the slow advancement of the sort of upgrade skill tree. Now, I am on the final boss of this game at the moment, and I'll check how much time I've put into it in a sec. I think I'm probably up around the teens in terms of hours. And my opinion on those 2 points has really not changed. I think I pretty much nailed it when I said that last week. But one thing that I would say is that those 2 elements of disappointment are not overshadowed by the rest of the really fucking cool stuff in the game. So it is definitely still worth a play. It is still a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed sort of getting through it. And the repetitiveness does get a bit better later on because there are some very, very creative areas that you get to go through, and going through them over and over is actually not that terrible. So yeah, it's good. Like there's 3 maiden zones in the game, and each of the zones kind of has like a bit of a different theme going on, which relates to how the terrain sort of works and the enemies that you fight and that kind of thing. Like the first area is very sort of archaic, kind of techie kind of area. The second one is very kind of underworld sort of spirits and demons kind of feel. And the third one, the best way to describe it is it's kind of like I think it's almost like Dark Souls-y sort of medieval but Roman architecture. It's a weird kind of mix.
Like dark Gothic style feel.
Yeah, very, very, very much. But probably a little bit more artistic rather than sort of the cold, hard sort of, skull factory that some of the Gothic sort of standards are from games that you and I have played for many, many years, Ollie. It's not the...
I meant more like Victorian Gothic, where it's all like filigree and stuff like that.
It is a bit like that, but it's probably a little bit more elegant. So, yeah,
filigree,
a lot of...
not elegant.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean. Yeah. So
apparently
anyway,
not.
The maps are very, very unique, and it require you to use your full skill set, quite effectively. And you do get some cool things later on, like you get a grappling hook, which allows you to sort of move around quite rapidly in aerial sort of fashion. It's kind of similar to how you get the weird sort of jump dash ability in Ori and the Blind Forest, and that can be quite frustrating to use. But the grappling hook in this case is actually really, really handy because you can grapple onto enemies as well. And during some of the boss fights, it's really, really handy because the bosses are large. So you need to be able to sort of get up and around and actually, deal with some of the areas of their mass that are like particularly, 2 or 3 screens away essentially. So now, Ollie, you've seen some of the pictures of the bosses in this game, so you kind of know what I'm getting at when it comes to this. There's 3 main boss fights that you actually sort of get involved in this game are massive. Like you all of a sudden go from this platformer perspective where you are a sprite on a screen that probably takes up about like a 50th of the screen. That's a standard kind of size. You're a few centimeters tall on screen kind of thing. But when you get into these boss areas, you literally become like a tiny little speck, and the things are massive. So the amount of ground that you actually have to cover to sort of get to the areas of them that you need to hit, like the vulnerable spots and that kind of thing, as well as trying to get out of their reach, because you all of a sudden it seems like you're moving really slowly, but you're not. It's just that you all of a sudden are very, very tiny in a very, very big room. It's a really interesting challenge, and it's almost like playing a slightly different game when you're in those zones. It's cool. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. The bosses are very awe-inspiring. They have a good variety of attacks. There's this one you can fight them in any order, but the second one that I came up against is kind of like this giant sort of mechanized walking sort of undead demon machine.
Oh, with the like green Hexa style character.
Yeah, kind of a bit like that. So you sort of come up against upon this thing sort of sleeping in the middle of a room, and it's actually got like a skull that's kind of hanging out that's impaled by this big spike, and you hit the spike and the thing wakes up and starts fighting you. It's really kind of awesome how it happens, and then you're running around away from this thing, and it's slamming the ground, and it's shooting lasers at you and all sorts of stuff. But the really awesome thing is that when it slams the ground, it literally catapults you up in the air, like to basically the top of this giant area, and then you have to try and hit like parts of it on the way down, like while you're suspended in midair. It's super different. Yeah, really, really cool. So yeah, enjoying it a great deal. I'm very curious to see where the story ends up after beating the third one. But there's been some interesting choices partways through the game, because as you beat certain enemies, you get these really rare collectible items called elder shards. And I think the way the game is built is that these shards you can actually spend on upgrades that corrupt you, that make you more powerful. But you can also choose not to use them, which kind of flies in the face of what the demonic entity that you're carrying in your weapon is trying to encourage you to do. Like, I think it actually wants to corrupt you. And if you choose not to take those upgrades, it, in theory, makes the game a little bit harder for you because you're not getting the boost, but you do get a whole bunch of the shard currency that you can spend on your upgrades. So it's kind of a bit of a trade-off. And I think that, from what I've heard, it's actually going to come down to a few different multiple endings depending on whether you've gone the corruption route or not. So a bit of a different way the narrative plays out depending on how you plan your upgrade sort of trees. So yeah.
How have you done it?
I went no corruption whatsoever. I've gone pure the whole way through. So in theory, the game's probably been on its hardest difficulty at doing that because I haven't had those upgrades, but I've been managing okay. So we'll see by the time I finish it whether I'm tearing my hair out or not. That being said, I did spend a good 3 hours on the second boss trying to beat the damn thing, and that was about a dozen runs at it. So yeah, it's not easy, but I've gotten through eventually. So yeah, it's been good. So yeah, that's my opinion on Sundered. So it's been pretty cool. I would still recommend it to anyone who's into the Metroidvania style stuff. It's definitely worth a look. Very, very cool. Now, just before I get off that topic, I've just checked. I am on 19.3 hours. So
okay, it's a fairly mid-range game as far as time's concerned then.
Yeah. I'll probably add a few more to that by the time I finish. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
So there you go. What else for you guys? What's been going on?
I took a very small trip into Lucio Ball because the new Summer Games patch was released late night morning our time today. Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of go Lucio Ball. I opened 2 loot chests already. I did not get a skin. I got a Hanzo highlight intro. Now, I don't play Hanzo, let alone am I ever going to need his highlight intro. But it was pretty cool. Was pretty cool. Yeah, secretly I could be a Hanzo main. You never know.
I mean, I'd be impressed. You've been hiding it all this time.
Yeah, that was all this time. Oh my god. What do you mean you're a Twitch shooter? But before I get into Lucio Ball, there just has to be this very important news that came out in the summer release that I have to mention, and that is they have brought back Mayhem mode.
So happy about that.
We're so happy. We love Mayhem mode, and I cannot
should be default.
Yeah,
should be default. 100% should be default. The only times they take it away is when they're like forcing us to play some other version of the weird arcade things. Leave Mayhem in there. I don't need the 3v3 elimination. Don't keep bringing that back. Just give me my Mayhem. Honestly, I think it makes me a better Overwatch player.
It's like those seasons on TV, like network TV, when you're a kid, where like there's big sporting events on and that sort of thing, and it disrupts your normal stream of cartoons. It's like, no,
kind of,
give me my cartoons.
This is more rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stop giving me new things. I just want to watch the same thing all the time. It's also a great way to try new players. Anyway, Mayhem, hooray. If you haven't tried it and you play Overwatch and you think it's stupid, just give it a go. It is nuts fun. And also, yeah, use that excuse to try another character because you will get to try them out a lot in that mode. But Lucio Ball was good. I don't remember enjoying Lucio Ball the first time around, but I also hadn't played Lucio at all when we played last time. And now Lucio is kind of my main question mark. I play him quite a lot. It was really good. It's much more slick, and your sort of powers and stuff are much more in line. It doesn't feel like you've just plopped Lucio as a character inside a new environment. It seems very like bespoke. You get like points for saving the ball and stopping it going in and all those types of things. And the benefit is if you jump in today, nobody else has any idea what's going on either. So you're not going to get creamed, because that wasn't my experience. I won 2 games. So, and then was like, that's enough for me. Exit, never play Lucio Ball again. 100% win rate. But I'm sure we will get into it. It's groups of 3v3. the servers, there was a couple of people mentioning that it was a bit difficult to find games, but I didn't have any problem with that. So maybe there were some earlier issues that have been resolved, just because we're in a weird time zone compared to North America. So do you guys think you'll check out Lucio Ball, or is it 100% not for you? Or will you choose to do the Copa Lucio Ball, which is the ranked version?
Fuck that noise.
A ranked version. Oh.
So Copa
I am
Lucio
not
Ball
serious
is,
business enough for that.
yeah, you can play Lucio Ball against, it's basically like, do you want to play Lucio Ball or do you want to play Pretend Rocket League? Because if you want to play Pretend Rocket League, then we've got this
Just
ranked
play
version
fucking
for
Rocket
you.
League.
Yeah. But you're not a car, you've got hands and you make cool things like, oh, that's my jam, etc., etc., etc. But it was really good. I played the Australian map just by luck. I randomly rolled it up. I don't like it because all of the commentary is in Australian and that always just throws me way out. Even though I have an Australian accent, whenever I hear it in a game, I don't like Junkrat in Overwatch for that particular reason. For whatever reason, the accent just really grates on me and I didn't enjoy it. So at least they didn't say g'day. I didn't hear anyone say g'day, not one time.
G'day, mate.
He does have a
G'day,
voice line
mate.
that says that, though, I'm sure.
Lucio does.
Yeah. No, Junkrat does.
Yeah.
Junkrat does, yeah, but he's not in Lucio Ball.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the Australian commentator, so it wasn't actually Junkrat commentating; it was someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a random Australian commentator voice.
Okay, interesting.
It was like, welcome to Sydney, Australia.
Because
I don't know why it
Whoa.
sounds so weird when I hear it said in a game where I'm not expecting an Australian accent. I can't.
that's really interesting,
I don't
actually, because
explain it.
besides the computer sort of speaking voice, like the Cortana-esque thing that announces like the maps and things in the game, I don't think there's actually ever been any other voices in there at all, has there?
Well, it's just like, welcome to Lucio Ball, like, welcome to Sydney, Australia, whatever, or welcome to insert other place and country here.
Okay.
It was good. I think we'll play more. I don't know that we'd play a whole bunch of it because I think that people are going to get a hang of it pretty quickly. And maybe it won't be so fun, but maybe also we'll get nuts fun out of it because we're really good at it. Who knows? We'll find out.
So, question: are they offering a free loot box for playing and winning a game of Lucio Ball? Is that a thing?
Yes.
They are,
So
okay.
I got one loot box just for logging in during the summer season. And I got one loot box for winning one of my games of Lucio Ball.
Well,
and then it's the same. You get a loot box for every 3 wins you get per week, I think it is.
Yeah, up to
the
the
arcade
9
mode.
thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you've just answered my question as to whether I'll play Lucio Ball because I'll do at least one game to get that box. Not usually my thing, though. But, I mean, if they've improved it so much, I'll give it a chance. One thing I was curious about, do you guys think that they'll ever try and do a different kind of sports game with one of the other characters? Like, can you actually think of one of the other characters that would be suitable to a different type sport game? Is that something that...
Roadhog, sumo wrestling.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Zarya ice hockey.
Zarya ice hockey?
Yep, you
She
get
has to like
Lucio in
hold
that.
the hockey in her little puck, in her little ray thing,
Yeah.
whatever it's called. I don't play Zarya, obviously.
Bastion, Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah.
No, Diva Rock and Sock and Robots.
It's kind of a question
Why
of
not
how
both?
how the characters work, though. Like, I mean, theme-wise, I'm sure we could think of a bunch that makes sense, but it's about how their play
competitive
style and
yoga with
abilities work.
Zenyatta.
Actually, you know
Who
what I'd
can
like
be
to
the most
see?
zen?
I would actually like to
100
see
meter dash
a,
with Tracer.
I'd like to see a shot put or a volleyball with Junkrat. I reckon that'd be kind of fun. That'd be pretty
No,
cool.
Junkrat would be the skeet shooting.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'd say it'd be McCree. McCree and
Oh,
Hanzo
true,
for that.
true,
Ooh,
true.
McCree, skeet shooting. That would definitely fit. That'd be really cool, actually. Yeah, interesting. All right.
Yeah, the new skins are interesting. The lifeguard McCree has already gained a very large following in fan art already. There is an awful lot of McCree on display.
Not
That being said,
not Gorilla
There's an awful lot of
76.
Widowmaker. Yeah, no, the Gorilla 76 is pretty sweet. The dad Hawaiian shirt and the whole lot is pretty good.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right. So, since we haven't really played much of other than the usuals,
Yeah,
we
I
shall
suck.
skip straight into our little news pieces of the week. And mine this week is a little bit of a disappointing start, but I feel like we'll end on a high note. Okay, so Middle-earth Shadow of War, to be released at the end of this year, is the next iteration from the Middle-earth series. It looked really cool. We talked about it on the show. Matt Mercer's one of the voice actors. It comes out 10th of October. This week we found out that you will be able to pay real life money in order to not only get cool skins and stuff for the game, but you'll also be able to, in a way, pay to win, because you'll be able to pay to get better gear and better upgrades for your characters. This is bad news for me. I saw this and the game went from something I might play to something I 100% won't. Even though majority of the game is single player, so you're only really cheating yourself, so it's really up to you.
That was my first question.
Yeah, there is an element of the game which, when you've completed your Mordor, whatever, your fort, then you can build it and populate it with basically your sort of captains and people that you've collected along the way, and then set it up into like tower defense mode. Now, you don't actively fight against people, you just kind of set it up and you sort of put it on the internet and then other people fight against it. But your ability to get sort of gold and stuff for upgrades, I assume, will also filter through to what then you will be able to put on in your fort, because you carry through what you've got in the game into your fort. Also, the more that you win at forts and the more you put at cost in the fort situation, you can actually come out with loot as well. So I just, in a way, you know, I could sort of get around and go, well, I'll play the game. I'm not going to pay the microtransactions to make my game better. It wouldn't necessarily stop me from playing it. But if they've got this cool element, which is this new element that wasn't in the first game, or they've improved on from the first game, and that's going to be impacted by pay to win, then I'm out.
Okay.
Don't understand why they've gone down this route. And I guess my question to you guys is, why do we think that we're still seeing games using this as like a valid way of substituting income for them? Like, why are these? Is it just because we keep spending the money and therefore they'll keep doing it? Do we have to stop?
I think that's a big part of it, because there's a proven model that has worked for a lot of games that, you know, big companies like, you know, EA and Ubisoft and the like would look at and instantly go, well, you know, we have a proven test case that people are willing to pay for this kind of stuff, so why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah, but I think you could put microtransactions in a game, still make money, and not make it about winning. Like, for example, Armello, you can buy the skins for the characters, and, you know, they don't affect anything that you do in the game. It's just something that you do because you love a particular character, or you like a skin, or you like a design, or something like that. Same with the dice. I guess you could buy chests and things, but it doesn't give you any advantage. They could have just left it at that. They could have said, here's some cool armor, and now your sword glows this cool color, or something like that. But putting in buffs for yourself, I don't know.
I have a question, Mimo. Is it you can buy, say, you can buy the Sword of Orc Slaying, or is it you buy chests? Is it loot chests, or is it like set items?
I'm just looking up. So through the market, players can purchase loot chests, war chests, XP boosts, and bundles. The loot chests contain gear and armor of varying rarity, can also contain XP boosts. War chests contain orc followers and of varying rarities, so you can forge a stronger army, of which you can then use the tower defense thing. And XP boosts are consumable that help level up Talion, the main character, faster, and bundles contain the loot chest, the war chest, and the boosts altogether. So you're basically being able to level up and get through the game faster. It's a way of sort of fast-tracking yourself through the game, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like that. I know why they're doing... Loot chests are all the rage because people like them. I mean, you just have to look at card games like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! They're very successful off the basis of the booster pack thing, where there's a chance you'll get something awesome. More often than not, you really don't. And that's just... This is essentially the digital version taking over. And it doesn't surprise me from a business point of view, but it annoys the shit out of me as a player.
Yeah. They're saying that all of the things that are available to purchase, you would get in the game, or you can achieve them in the game. It's just this will give you an option to get your hands on those things immediately.
The one issue I've got with that, though, and this is a very constant thing even with single-player games that offer this kind of stuff. Like, we spoke about this a little bit last week when we were talking about the Metroid amiibos, and I'll kind of touch on that again. So I think we all agree that when it's cosmetic, it's you know, relatively harmless for the most part, because people can, you know, just spend money on that if they want to look cool. Doesn't really affect gameplay. Who cares? When it comes to single player versus multiplayer, though, I don't think there's any argument that the three of us will have that if it actually gives people an advantage in multiplayer, it's not a great thing, because then it doesn't even the playing field. Like, people who spend more money are going to have an artificial advantage, and that certainly seems like the case here with that mode that they've got in game, and that really disappoints me, because I would have loved to play that without that being a factor. But when it comes to single player, I think it's a relatively victimless situation, except when you have a situation exactly like this game where it is a full-priced new game release. Like, you're looking at $100, basically, for this game, depending on the currency, of course. Yeah. And not only that, it's actually coming out at a time of year that is absolutely competitive when it comes to new game releases. There's some massive AAAs coming out at the same time. You've got, this is coming out in October, so we're looking at Super Mario Odyssey. We're looking at the new Assassin's Creed, which again is bound to be quite a popular game. That sort of stuff. But the big thing is that games like this often have content in them that allow you are able to shortcut by spending money on some of these things, like giving you advantages to cut down on some of the grind, being able to basically remove some of the time that would otherwise be spent, doing stuff that the game is designed to give you as gameplay options. But the problem with that is you have to start wondering, is this stuff that they've added as padding in the first place for the pure purpose of getting people to want to spend money to bypass it? That shits me if that's the case.
Yeah, so if they designed a game that it's easier to attract people to pay to go through it faster, or...
Yeah.
I don't... Maybe it's a nod. I was thinking really hard about this because they don't do it for stupid reasons. They don't do it because it's not making them money, and they don't do it because they don't understand their market at all. They're doing it for a very good reason. The only thing I can come up with is they have a lot of people who enjoy the first one, but for the end game promise. And so to capture those people and get them to buy a second iteration of the game, they have to give them an opportunity to fast track. Like, they don't need to learn the basics of the game or understand, where there will be a lot of people who come to the game for the first time in this iteration and see it. So that's the only thing I could think. But I guess when it comes to the end game, if people are there earlier, you're going to make sure that, and you can still play the tower defense kind of mode, or they're calling it the social mode, I think they're calling it, with no risk to yourself. You just sort of put it out there, see how you fare, and then, bash up against other people. And arguably, all of the reports I've seen about that mode, everyone's very happy because that's a big part of what people enjoy, is invading the forts and the towers and all that kind of stuff. And so this gives you a way to do that over and over and over and over again. So I think that's a great idea. But if you feel like you have to slog through this huge $100 game to get to a point where you're competitive against people who may have microtransactioned their way to the end of the game as well as paying the $100 for the game, then
yeah, that's crap.
I don't know. I'm also not the sort of person who'd buy loot boxes in Overwatch necessarily, so I'm not probably their target market at all. Shout
out to poor Christian, who just bought 24 of the Summer Games boxes and got absolutely no new skins. Poor bastard.
Oh, jeez. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. Sorry, you going to say, Ollie?
Oh, no, that's all right. I was going to say something really offensive and I decided against it.
Whoa, holy moly. I would pay my microtransactions for that outcome. No.
Well, that was it. This won't be the last time we have opportunities to talk about this. There'll be many more games. And GTA is a great example. You can buy Golden GTA, which can buy you lots of things. And we don't blink an eye at that.
Yeah.
So
it's true. Pay to win or pay to whinge, am I right? Yeah.
That was probably your best one ever.
Yeah, that was a good one. Put that in the pool room, huh?
Yep.
Mount that on the plug. Yep. Nice. All right. Well, my topic this week is something that I feel super comfortable discussing because it's something I am usually fairly excited about, and cramming it down into a small time period is going to be the hardest thing, and I'm already talking too long. Oh, my God. All right. So this week has been a pretty mad week as far as the gaming industry goes for digital card games. So now it is the launch week for Hearthstone's Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion, which I'm super excited about. More on that in a minute. But a couple of other things happened in the last 48 hours which are interesting in terms of the digital card game world. One is that Gearbox, so the makers of the Borderlands franchise as well as many other notable games, have announced that they've actually got plans to launch a new digital card game of their own, but they're actually basing it on 1v1 first-person combat. So, yeah, because they're typically known for doing 1v1 first-person shooters and that kind of thing. Like, it is a weird thing to mix with a card game, though. Like, I didn't quite understand what they meant by that. So, really, really early days. Like, it's pretty much just an announcement that they're working on it. And the thing is called Project 1v1. So they're going to be holding a technical test for it very shortly. It's going to be like a closed test, people nominated to take part, and it'll probably be very hush-hush. But I was just super interested in that. I do like Gearbox as a developer, so I'm curious to see what they have coming out of that. And the other one, which was announced today, I believe, was also by Valve. So Valve apparently are going to be launching a new product in 2018 called Artifact. And Artifact is, in fact, a Dota 2 card game. So they announced this at the International Dota 2 Championships. So they actually had a bit of a sort of on-stage premiere of the teaser video for it. Now, you should go and find the video, not of the teaser, but the video of the teaser being shown at the event, because the crowd did not take it well. And it's quite amusing. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, as soon as the thing came on screen, a lot of people were like, oh, because they probably thought it was going to be something like a little bit more interesting. Like, whenever Valve announces that they've got a new game coming out, because they're typically these days not in the business of making games at all, besides the ones that they hang on to because they're absolute massive money spinners for them, like Dota. People immediately start jumping to, oh my god, is it going to be something new for Portal or Half-Life? Or no, guys, it's a digital card game. So there wasn't a whole bunch of excitement for that. I mean, there was pockets of it, but it was a notable sort of air of disappointment in that room, which is kind of amusing to look at as a spectator. So there you go. Interesting to see what they do with that. I think one thing that's going to make a Dota-based card game quite different than a lot of the other ones out there on the market is the fact that it'll be built off the Steam marketplace, and Steam trading is quite a thing off that platform. So if it's an actual trading card game where you can sort of buy and sell and trade those cards on the Steam marketplace, then that opens a door that not many other games really have at the moment. So could be interesting. But anyway, off that and onto Hearthstone. So I'm certainly not going to go through and talk about every card that's been announced, because they have actually sort of shown off all of them now. Yeah, no, I won't do that. I just did want to pull out a couple of fun ones. And Ollie, I know that you are a fan of a couple of these as well. So
I approve of these, so it's fine.
They're pretty good. So the expansion's themed around, of course, the Frozen Throne and the Lich King. So Arthas, the Lich King. And Arthas is a card in the set.
Spoilers.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Those who haven't played Warcraft. Yeah.
Yep. He is a neutral legendary, so every class can pretty much use him. And he has a really, really cool ability where he basically generates a card from a special sort of set of Death Knight cards once a turn if he stays on the board. So it's a really sweet, powerful way for him to get his hands on a lot of abilities that they don't actually have to make separate cards for. So because it's only linked to him. So for example, Frostmourne, like his signature Lich King weapon, is in there, but it's a card that can only be generated randomly from him. You can't actually put it in a deck any other way. So yeah, there's some cool stuff like that. But then next to the Lich King, of course, they had to have the Hearthstonest of Hearthstonest sort of things, which is putting a bit of a comedy spin on it. And they have Arthas, who is the Lich King's loyal pet dog. He's a little ghost hound, and he is hilarious and cute.
He's so cute.
Yep. So he's basically got like a picture where he's running off with some sort of undead or Death Knight's arm or something like that, and his ability is that basically when he gets killed, he generates one of those special Lich King cards as well. But oh my god, the card is hilarious, and the flavor text on the back of it, if it can actually have a back in a digital card format, is there must always be a Lich King. I love it.
Yes.
So
as a dog
good.
person, I approve.
Why are they so good at it?
Yep.
Oh gosh.
It's awesome. The card flavor text on new expansion cards is always something I take a bit of attention to, because there is some fucking comedy gold on some of these. Like, I won't go through any of the others, but anyone who's a fan of the Warcraft universe or Hearthstone in particular, find the text on the back of some of these cards and just have a bit of a read through for some chuckles, because there's some good stuff there. It's really, really cool.
Some quality lols.
Yep, absolutely. So expansion's out on Thursday. I'm super pumped. I'm really looking forward to it. And Mimo and Christian and I are going to hopefully get together and play some games this week. So there you go.
Shadow Mimo and I will coexist.
They exist in the same room. It's not Fight Club.
Still keeping my eyes on that Shadow Mimo. Gunning for my jump.
All right, so my topic is a bit on the ridiculous side of things. So this popped up in my news feed, and so it sort of led me down the track. A couple of things, actually. So you can get, from Pokemon Sun and Moon, you can get a Executor. Did I say that one right, Luke?
Yeah, yep.
okay, which is a Pokemon, in case you're wondering. And it looks basically, imagine like a palm tree. The coconuts have weird faces on it, and then it's got little stumpy legs at the bottom, and then it's got a tail with like the most chibi little happy fruit looking face on the end of it.
I'm gonna go with giraffe, palm tree, egg face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty accurate.
That's essentially it.
I will add my Pokemon nerdness to this and say that there's actually two different versions of Executor. So Executor has existed since the very, very first sort of generation of Pokemon, and it is actually not the long-necked version in the standard sort of form. The long-necked one is the special Alolan Executor that's only been present in the game since Pokemon Sun and Moon. So it's like a different skin for it, if you like. But that's a thing now. So yeah.
Did you push your nerd glasses back up your nose?
Yes, well, actually, I think you're fine.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Just checking. So this cool little statue, the reason this was so interesting is it's 29,800 yen, which means roughly $270 US
Holy shit.
for a giant 3.5 foot tall, so a meter for everyone else outside of
It's
America.
over $300 Australian.
Yeah, it's over a meter tall. It's like a fake office planter or ficus.
Is
essentially.
it so expensive
kinda
because
cool.
it's designed for the executives?
Yeah, I see what you did
There
there.
it is. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, and that sort of got me looking at like ridiculous game merch, and I'm like, $270 for what is essentially a 1 meter tall statue of something that most people think, why is your pot plant so fucking weird? What's wrong with you? Has
Why
then
does your-
led me to...
Why does your pot plant have
a
feet?
face?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fuck is this? That then led me to something that popped up in our WhatsApp group, which was Destiny's 2, some new themed products, which was Destiny 2 themed scented candles. I'm just there going, what?
Do they look better than the limited edition controller from PS4?
Yes.
These are not even
But that's
related.
not saying much. It's not saying much. Like normal
still
game
Destiny
merch
2
I can
branded.
get like I can get like a key ring, a statue, a shirt, a hoodie, like a hat, all that makes perfect sense. Even like patches for your bags and stuff.
But candles is
completely
too far.
fine. Candles, I'm like, what the fuck? Why candles? And then it gets better. There's also ice trays, which I'll be honest, actually look kind of cool, but that's besides the point. And then there's a fucking bathrobe. There's a bathrobe. There's a Destiny
now,
2 bathrobe.
I was just looking this up. Like, I'm
does look
pretty
swank as
sure.
fuck, though.
I'm pretty sure that there is World of Warcraft candles.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise
Because
me.
there's a big quest in World of Warcraft for candles, and there's a specific character, which Luke will know because Luke's played way too much Hearthstone to not miss this character. Do you remember who it is, Luke?
Oh, candles specifically?
Where he's like, not my candles, or he says something like that.
Oh, God. I feel like I should know.
You know what I
but
mean,
can't think
don't
of it.
you?
Yeah, I kind of do. It's not Barnes,
It's
is it?
Kobold Candle Quest. And so I had this weird feeling, like, the problem is whenever I Google World of Warcraft candle, or I'm getting pictures of candles and the Kobold Quest. You notate candle is what he says on the Hearthstone card. But I'm pretty sure they do a
Jesus.
bathrobe. I know they do a bathrobe because they did one for the movie. They've got an Alliance and a Horde one.
Interesting.
I'm wearing my Horde hoodie right now.
Your
I was
hoardie.
going to
Not a
say, you
bathrobe.
wear your Horde bathrobe. Is that where that was going?
Yeah, but how much did you spend on that? It wasn't ridiculous, was it? It was like a regular hoodie kind of price.
Oh, this was discounted.
Yeah.
So this was on half price at like $50. So it's like $100 normally, which isn't ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous priced items. Then yeah, but I don't know that the candles were that expensive from memory.
I guarantee they're not going to be like $5 a candle. That's for sure.
No, probably not.
All right,
No.
so I think
They'll be like $50 for a set.
there's probably two sides to this
Something
then
insane.
from what I can make out. Like one side is like ridiculous choices of items that have nothing to do with the video game in question. So like candles we wouldn't associate with Destiny 2, for instance. It just seems like a really weird pick.
that is weird.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, we've got like items that are just ridiculously priced, like as collectibles that are just, far and away something that is obscene to own unless you're an absolute diehard for that particular franchise. So,
Oh, God.
yeah.
Luke, can I pause you?
Yeah.
So I found the candle price.
Okay.
$40 US for 5 candles.
Okay, yeah,
I
screw
don't think
that.
that's that bad.
Are you kidding me?
Have you guys bought good candles ever in your life?
Yeah, I do it every
No.
week. No.
I genuinely haven't.
If I was going to buy, if they're good quality candles, for 5 candles, like that's a pretty good price.
Okay.
Is it?
And
I'm going to have to take your word for it.
The glass house candles, like the fancy candles.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're going to go splash out in candles, they can be $50, $60 each.
Really?
Seriously?
That-
Wow,
that-
I'm in the
Seriously.
wrong business.
I thought they were more expensive. That actually sounds a bit light on for candles.
Yeah,
I hate you
you guys
so
ever
much.
been to Dusk or whatever it's called
Yeah.
I've walked past it many times.
and gagged a little bit?
No, I actually quite like the aroma. It's a bit Chloe,
Really?
but
Yeah.
it's nice.
But yeah, so that's a decent price for candles.
I kind of have
that
to
would
know.
actually make
Okay.
me
I
think
kind
the
of have to know
candles
what
were
a
the
what a
best
Destiny 2
quality.
candle would smell like. Like, what is the smell of Destiny
Well,
2?
they're based off the planets. There's like Earth, Mars, Venus, that sort of thing.
Okay, all right.
What does Uranus smell like?
I was
I'll
waiting.
pay that.
I was waiting.
Oh, that was great.
Also, the
too
bathrobe, which is fleece, by the way, or a dressing gown,
Hmm.
$45 US. Now, I'm not going to lie, depending on the quality, that's actually a really good price.
Hmm.
Pretty good price. I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm not going to pay $300
As
for
someone who
a
owns a
massive
bathrobe,
executor
that's
for
reasonable.
my house, but
Yeah, the executor is a bit silly.
Hmm.
Let's be honest now. We can all agree
although
a
if you were going to
meter-tall
have
executor
a
is
meter
silly.
tall Pokemon in your house, I think $300 is a pretty good price.
Yeah, as a display piece,
Like
that's
if someone said to me,
reasonable.
"Would you like this meter tall statue of like Pikachu?" I'd be like, "That would be $1,000 easy."
Hmm.
So $300 I think is pretty cheap.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're
But
into
it's the
if you're into the
most derpy
Pokemon
looking
card
thing.
game, that's probably cheap compared to some of the cost of that hobby. So
But that's like at least a deck, Luke.
Hmm?
You could have a whole Pokemon deck for that.
it's true. So as far as spending ridiculous amounts of money on collectibles for games that you love the crap out of, there is one item that Ollie, I know you've seen me eyeing off, which is actually a special.
I recommended it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And rightly so, because this thing is actually really good. So there is a very, very awesome looking handcrafted wooden Hearthstone collector's box, which is designed as the sort of casket you see when you launch the game up in the sort of the intro window. And this thing, I don't know the exact price of it because the Blizzard Gear Store is actually down right now of all times. But it's around the 300 US mark, and it sometimes goes on sale like around BlizzCon time and that kind of thing. But it actually supposedly has a light up sort of Hearthstone symbol in the front of it as well. Like when you actually open
that's
the
so
catches on the
cool.
lid, it glows or something like that. And it's like felt inlay box. I believe that the inside of it is sort of A4 size, so you could put books and things in there if you wanted to. But it looks really nice. Like it doesn't look cheap at all. It doesn't look like a knockoff sort of plastic molded collectible or anything. It looks like this thing's actually, worth the money you'd pay for it as far as a nice item goes. So I have strongly considered picking that one up, but then I always think to myself, what other things could I be spending that money on? More games, more Hearthstone cards, that kind of stuff usually wins out. So, but I will take that and raise you guys one that was shown earlier in the year as well. And this is probably the textbook definition of opulence when it comes to video game merchandise. So did you guys remember seeing the Assassin's Creed Origins Collector's Legendary Edition that was coming out that has the 73 centimeter resin statuette of the character from the game? So that thing...
I'm looking it up now.
Yep, it comes with art cards, a steelbook, art book, soundtrack, season pass, a hand-drawn map, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the cost of that package is $1,250 US, and most of that is for the statue. So
My goodness.
that's a lot of money.
That's
So, Luke,
insane.
I looked
the
up your
statue is
Hearthstone-
freaking gorgeous, though.
Yeah, it's true. I looked up your Hearthstone box. It was a BlizzCon 2016 collectible piece, so it might not be on the store.
Oh, I've seen it since then. So
really?
It's definitely on the store. Yeah, that's how I spotted
Okay.
it.
All right, well, it's on eBay at the moment for around about $290 US.
okay, so
Oh, it's nothing.
that's fairly
That's
consistent
fine.
with what they had on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely reasonable. Now, that being said, if we're going to be slightly sidetracked, the one piece of merch that I've actually genuinely considered that is a bit ridiculous, but I kind of want it because it's really cool at the same time. Did you guys see it all, the Titanfall 2 Collector's Edition?
I was just going to say with the helmet.
With the wearable helmet?
Yeah.
So there was two. There was one with like a Vignette bus style thing, and then there's one with the wearable helmet. I am willing to put good money. If anyone's listening and has one spare, please, yeah, I will give sexual favors out the back of a Hungry Jack's for that.
Whoa. I'm sure Hungry
That's-
Jacks
that-
and multiple other people will have a problem with that.
Ollie will gladly
okay,
polish his
Nando's, I
helmet
take it
to be
back.
able to wear yours. Yep. Oh, God.
No,
Wow.
it is a gorgeous piece. Like, I genuinely, I will not actually give sexual favors. Sorry to all those fangirls that don't exist, but there it is. And it goes by itself. It goes for like $200, $250 for a helmet. And I'm like, I kind of want it. Kind of. But I can't justify it in any way, shape, or form.
If they came out with an Ori and the Blind Forest plushie, I would pay a decent amount of money for that.
No, you know what they need for Ori and the Blind Forest? They need to have Ori as a nightlight. That's what they need. Like a statue.
Oh, God.
110%. I want to own that. Give me Ori as a light.
Because the character glows as it
Don't give
is.
me stupid Sane, because Sane can get lost. Sane is no help to me.
Nice.
Oh, you're dying.
Yeah.
That's
Someone
cool.
left me to die in the tree.
No, a lot
See
of
you
people
later.
went crazy for the Fallout 4 Pip Boys when that was out as well, and that was quite an expensive little item. So
Yeah, I've seen some garage kit ones, and I'm like, I'm a good painter. I could paint one up and make this look and just put a smartphone in.
Yeah.
I really want to buy this. God damn it.
But here's my bold
It's
prediction
funny,
as far as helmets go.
it's quality.
I reckon that there's going to be a helmet available for a special edition of Anthem when that comes out. I reckon they'll probably do that. That's that.
I think Anthem is set to be, just quietly, completely off the topic, but Anthem is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I feel it. It feels like Halo. I don't know, something about it. It feels gigantic. So,
I feel like it'll be very similar in size of reception as Destiny.
Ooh.
yeah.
Where it's going to be like, we tried all this cool stuff, and we kind of fucked up a bit. All right, but here's number 2. Hopefully it's much better. And it'll still have that loyal fan base and whatnot, but the initial hype will be massive, and then it'll sort of peter off a bit. That's my prediction.
High hopes.
Mostly because I'm a cynical prick.
We will see. Yeah.
We should probably move on to our 4th news item. You guys have finished talking about ridiculous
Sure.
amounts of money. I will say, just as my final point, with no right of reply, we are all balking at spending like a couple of $100 in a bathrobe, but some of us have spent a significant amount of money, Holly, on dice. Like,
This is
no.
true.
a ridiculous
This is
amount
true.
of
I'm well aware. No. I'm well aware. It's a fucking derpy statue. All right, you
That's true.
leave my fabulous gemstone dice out of this.
the limited edition gemstone dice that you curse on a regular basis. Yeah.
But at least he gets
alright.
use out of them regularly, so that is kind of something at least.
Exactly. So I
That's
just think I
true,
walk
and
past
they're
and go,
quality.
"Ah, that's a derpy face.
Yeah. To be fair, if I had the
look
money,
at
I
Luke for
would be buying some of those sweet level up dice. I want the blacklight dice so bad. And then we're going to play a
Wait,
whole
you said
game.
blacklight dice?
Yeah.
I know.
there's dice.
Don't put black lights near me. Don't do that.
Oh,
That's
gross.
a bad
That's
idea.
so gross.
Especially the day before laundry day. Anyway.
Speaking of the worst,
Yay! segue.
we thought that since Jam's not here and she can't present a news piece, which is the worst, we will
She
have
is
a
the
little bit of a
worst.
chat with you guys about what our worst games that we have ever played and why. And I will preface this and say I think it's true for all of us, is we're probably going to come up with some whilst we talk about this, because I really racked my brain and really argued with myself for a long time about what the worst game we ever played meant. I don't know. For me, I kind of went down the route of, if I didn't enjoy it but it wasn't a bad game, then I kind of went, okay, well, maybe. And so the game that I ended up picking was more, I actually don't think it was a great game, and I didn't enjoy it, and I thought it was stupid. But how about
Okay.
you? Ollie, you did your homework. So
I did my homework. I did that thing.
Gold star. So what is the worst
Yay.
game you have ever played and why?
Okay, so please bear in mind, guys, that this is our personal opinion. Your opinions may vary, and games that we say are fucking awful, you might be like, I actually quite like that game. That's fine. Your fun is not wrong, okay?
No one's fun
So
is wrong.
please, exactly, unless, though there is occasional times, I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, so for me, my big one, and the reason I picked this one is because it's a popular game. That was what put this one over the other one. I'll make an honorable mention to my other one. So the game I picked was Five Nights at Freddy's. I really dislike this game. Really dislike it. And it's not because I find it scary. I don't find it scary at all. I love horror. I love the horror genre. I love horror movies, books, anything I can get my hands on. I love the psychology behind good horror. This is not a good horror game. Okay? This is a cheap, shitty jump scare game. And calling it a game is even a stretch at that. It has 2 mechanics, I guess, for lack of a better term. You move your mouse around, you flick a camera, you occasionally zap something. There you go, 3. And I'm just there going, this must be great if you're 10 years old. This must be the best game ever made. And for me, I'm not 10 years old, and I don't find jump scares a thing. Like, people say it's scary, but a pigeon could fly into my window right now, making a huge bang and make me jump. It's not the Stanley Kubrick of fucking pigeons. Okay? It doesn't make it a good game.
The Stanley Kubrick of pigeons. Yes.
It just does my head in. The graphics are shit because it was made for iOS devices, and before someone goes, oh, but that's the point, I'm like, no, it's really not. And the mechanics are just bland, boring, super repetitive, and
Little
I just
asterisks for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just I hate it being touted as this great horror game when it's not. It's just a jump scare simulator, and that annoys the shit out of me. So if you liked Five Nights at Freddy, I'm sorry. I did say your fun can't be wrong, but your fun is wrong. Okay, I'll take it
like
personally. You can send your yeah.
It's something that you can sort of like try out jump scary games and see how you feel. Like, I mean, would want to play with friends. It's got some redeeming qualities.
If you like it, this is what the game strikes me as. This game strikes me as what you just said. You get some mates around, you'll get really hyped up and giggly over it, or drunk, depending on how old your friends are, and you scare the shit out of each other because you're getting hyped up about when the jump scare is going to happen. And then it happens, and you'll like squeal at the screen, and that's fine. That's not a problem. And then the other one is you just get it for YouTube reaction videos.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the game was made in mind for, was YouTube reaction videos. And they knew it. And they keep making it. As soon as they saw those first few, they're like, thanks, Mr. PewDiePie. Let's click again. Let's make number 2. Let's make number 3. And I'm pretty sure there's more than 3 now, because...
I didn't know there was a 2 and a 3. Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's more than that.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Again.
Now it's 6 nights, motherfucker.
5 days at Freddy's. Not much happens.
Yeah, it's a regular day job. Yeah, get over it.
It's like Diner Dash. It's just a restaurant simulator.
Amazing. And then my honorable mention, and I don't know if you guys have heard this one. So this is Big Rig over-the-road racing. Now, this game is actually quite notorious for being a steaming pile of shit. So this is a game where you race trucks, and it is just trash. It is just garbage. Like, the graphics are shit. The sound quality is shit. Everything is terrible. So you race this truck. There's no object collision. So you can go through a lamppost. The buildings may as well not be there. When you go over a bridge, you follow the dip in the terrain. You don't actually go across the bridge. You can drive off the edge of the world. Your truck is cemented perfectly down. So you can drive up like an 80-degree mountain. Not a problem. No hesitation. You don't even lose speed. You're just like, yep, up I go. It's ridiculous. And the best part, when you put it in reverse, you have no speed limit, and you actually accelerate faster than in forwards. So you can hit like 4,000 miles an hour going backwards, and the moment you let go of reverse, you go immediately to 0. It is so shit. So if you haven't seen Big Rig over-the-road racing, do yourself a favour. Don't download it. Don't give them money. Watch a video of it and just sit and watch in awe at how trash it is. But it did make me angry. It made me laugh. Five Nights at Freddy made me angry. That's why it got the worst game I've ever played. Yeah. So there you go. That's my pick.
That's fair. Games making you angry. It's not something you want to be doing when you're playing fun things. It's not at all what you want.
Yeah, not like good angry. Not like, oh, I need to beat this angry, or why am I so shit angry? As in like, no, this is just bad.
Why am I so shit?
Well, that's why. I get angry at games, not because I think the game is like too hard. I think I get angry at my own inability to do something well. I'm like, why am I so bad? Fuck.
You would hate being me in video games. You would be angry all the time.
Yeah.
Luke, what is your worst game and why?
So I thought about this sort of off the cuff and thought, oh yeah, it's got to be No Man's Sky, right? And then I realised, no, it's definitely not No Man's Sky. And it's probably not even close to No Man's Sky, if I'm being fair, because I kind of did enjoy that game to a point as I thought more about it.
There's nothing wrong with the game.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I got to it, because at the end of the day, when we're talking about worst games, like in our history of gaming, I mean, by and large, we don't tend to go out and seek out games or spend money on games that we think are going to be bad. Like, it's always with an expectation that it's going to be decent, otherwise we wouldn't bother to put the time into it. And even when
we should make that a segment. We have to all go out and find the worst game we can find that you have to spend money on.
And compare them. Yeah, we probably could do that.
No. Do it as a Secret Santa. Deliberately go out.
So good.
And go, here's our budget. find the shittiest game you can, and you have to play
We're
a
doing
set
it.
amount of it.
Oh,
We're doing it.
Yeah, that could be a Christmas thing this
doing
year.
it.
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, and I mean that's applies to the show as well. I think, like, you know, our listeners will very, very rarely hear us like absolutely shit on games, because we typically don't spend time playing things that we're not, you know, going to like to a certain extent. So, you know, we'll criticize things, and every now and then we'll play something that is totally not our cup of tea, like, you know, pigeon dating fucking games, that kind of thing. So
That game is
no,
great.
there was no fucking in those games.
Zero fucking.
I played a very different game to you if there was pigeon fucking going on.
Anyway, so yeah, but I think, you know, by and large, what it comes down to for me is the worst gaming experiences I've had are the ones where usually the play experience or what the game has ended up being has not met my expectations. And sometimes that's because my expectations were just wrong from the outset. I you know, had my expectations set incorrectly, either by me getting overly hyped for something and it's my fault, or by the way a game is marketed or sort of positioned as being different to what it actually ends up being, in which case it's often the marketing machine or the developer's fault. But that, you know, either way, it can kind of lead to a pretty negative experience sometimes. So the three that I've kind of been looking at, and I'll pick the sort of top one out of these after I sort of get through explaining them, are for that kind of reason. So the first one on the list, and Ollie, I know you're going to feel me on this one, because it is basically a relaunch of a game that you and I love the shit out of. But this version of it is truly one of the most steaming piles of shit I've ever experienced. Now. Well, you and I have had this conversation before. So it is Dungeon Keeper on mobile. So, yeah. So Dungeon Keeper, absolutely awesome sort of, you know, dungeon resource management sort of RTS. A whole lot of fun. Game we played when we were, you know, much, much younger. Had a really cool sequel as well. So they ported this to mobile like a number of years ago. I think it was probably nearly, you know, it was more than 5 years ago now. I can't remember exactly when. But the big problem with the way they ported it, and it was EA that did it, I believe, is that they put the core gameplay loop kind of on the device. You know, they kept most of the way it functioned sort of intact, except they introduced 4 currencies into the game. And if I'm remembering correctly, it was something along the lines of like golds, rocks, mana, and gems. And the gems had to be purchased with real money. Like it was literally sort of microtransactions in game to get the gems. Yep. Just about all of the worthwhile gameplay in this thing was basically paywalled behind needing to get these gems. So you hit very real barriers trying to get anywhere in this thing without grinding for days and days and days and days, or sinking a whole bunch of money in there. But, you know, games that do this kind of thing are usually a little bit clever and sinister with the way they entice you to spend money. This one was just like bludgeoning you over the face with a fucking bat. Like, it was so blatant that they were expecting you to sink money in to actually get anywhere, that it was just a complete waste of time, absolutely shitty play experience, and, you know, just took, you know, one of my favorite games of all time as a child and just, you know, pooped all over it, basically. So that makes the list. It's a big one. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Ew.
So do not touch. Now, the next one is one that probably won't come as a huge surprise for people. It's another franchise that I was a big fan of when I was much younger, that they basically did a relaunch of and really fucked up, and that is Duke Nukem Forever. So, Ollie, did you ever get to play this steaming pile of turd?
No, because I heard it was really bad, so I avoided it.
Oh, yeah, you were right too. It was super bad. So, Duke 3D's, you know, a real favourite of mine from when I was younger. It was one of the first FPSs that I spent a whole bunch of time on, and, you know, spent a lot of hours as a teenager sort of doing multiplayer death matches. It was super cool. So Duke is very much, as a character, he's a product of those times. Like, he's got that sort of big braggart, sort of, you know, Ash Williams style, you know, American hero kind of, you know, muscle shirt, redneck kind of personality. And it's amusing to a point, but I think it is very, very sort of short in terms of how much value you can get out of that. And it's not really a character that translates super well into modern times. So the thing with Duke as well is that Duke Nukem Forever was in development forever. Like, they literally had...
That was the joke.
Yeah, well, it kind of was the joke, but it almost became like the Half-Life 3 of that franchise. like a game that people thought was maybe actually never going to come out. Like it had just been in the works for so friggin' long. And eventually when it did come out, like part of the thing that made it so bad is the fact that people had been waiting so long for it, and it ended up being shit because it felt like a massive wasted opportunity, and that kind of made the experience even worse. So I've actually just been looking at old reviews for it today, and I found a quote, which I'm just going to read to you, which I think sums it up perfectly. So Duke Nukem Forever is a love letter to PC gaming, scrawled in crayon by an alcoholic bigot. So,
Whoa.
yeah, that's pretty much
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's outdated level design, graphics that could have been much better. The characters were uninteresting, uninspired. The whole thing, it's just a big mess. So yeah, would not recommend. And the last one, which I think is probably going to be my absolute worst gaming experience of all time, is it's a tough one because it's another franchise that I loved. It's a shame that Jam's not here because she actually played this one with me. It is SimCity 2013. So.
Oh.
Yeah, do you remember?
Ouch.
Yeah.
That game was gross.
Yeah.
I'm aware of this one, and again, I avoided because I actually quite enjoyed the SimCity games as a younger lad, and I heard about this one, and I was like, no.
So,
No.
SimCity, product of Electronic Arts and Maxis as well. And Maxis, I believe, has actually been shut down, I think not long after this happened, because they went through a pretty bad spot as a result of the sort of fallout from SimCity 2013. So the big debacle around this game was that it came out in, I think it was early in the year, like first quarter, and it was an online play only game. So, and the whole pitch behind that was that there was going to be online features that would let people sort of interact with each other. Like you could link up cities and have resource sharing and, connections between them in terms of, you building resources and that sort of thing, like space, how you lay out your cities, all that kind of stuff. So in theory, it could be a really cool idea. Like if you don't cooperate.
Sounds really cool. Yeah,
exactly. But no, they fucked it up completely. So,
of course they did.
And it had massive problems on launch with the online connectivity as well. So, I actually remember bringing it home on launch, and I think Jam was the same. And we hopped on and tried to play it, and we were waiting upwards of like an hour or so just to even get a stable connection. It was super bad. So they eventually resolved a bunch of those server issues, but it wasn't uncommon to hear stories about people having to wait like 30 minutes or more to even get a stable connection with friends that were situated locally. And it started to put a real sour taste in a lot of people's mouths about the online aspect, because that was clearly the cause of a lot of this. And SimCity, traditionally up until that point, hadn't been designed with online play in mind. It was something that the game just didn't even need. So... and they resolved a bunch of the issues by disabling certain what they called sort of non-critical features and that kind of thing. Some of them were annoyances more than anything else. But then it actually was discovered not long after the fact that people were able to sort of get into the game and run it in an offline mode using different debugging commands. And it became really clear that it actually was a game that could quite easily run offline. It had just been deliberately disabled because it didn't fit EA or Max's vision of what they wanted the game to be. So, yeah, which... you can theorize as to why that may be. So
that game was the death of SimCity.
It was.
Because that was the game that... I mean, a couple of years after that, there was some huge, big, like, world city builder games that came out, and people were like, this is just better. Everyone had been attached to the Sim brand, and that game killed it.
Yep.
And they goofed.
Flat out did.
They did massive goofs. And now we've got, city skylines and everything else, which are just far and above much better city builders. And they're clawing some of it back, obviously, with The Sims. Yeah. Which is now their spin-off, but that killed SimCity. That was the death of SimCity.
Now, I swear there was an older version of SimCity that actually linked up with The Sims 2, I think, where you could actually design buildings in SimCity and actually have your Sims inhabit the same buildings that you designed. I'd have to go back
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I'd have to check exactly which ones it was, but that's
Sims
a
2.
great idea.
And the streets and the layout and stuff, and then your community was in, like, one of the areas. So... if they were unhappy because they were close to something, that kind of impacted the personality of your... I can't remember.
Yeah.
That was a really long time ago.
That's a great formula, though. Why the fuck wouldn't they just keep doing that? That's awesome. So,
Because people were doing it better already.
Yeah. It's disappointing.
And they were making much more money out of just The Sims. Why would they keep developing what is a very difficult game to develop? I understand, in the background. The formula was there for other people to pick up, and they'd already started doing it.
Yeah.
The Tropicos started coming out and everything else. Age of Empires started cottoning onto city building mechanics. So.
Yeah. But people who go out of their way to deliberately sort of find and play like games that they know are going to be bad, like that's not me. Like that's why a lot of the games on this short list are not truly woeful games. They're ones that you know, respectively compared to some of the stuff out there, not that bad. It's just on the scale of things that I'm actually willing to play, it's pretty bad. It reminds me of a joke. Have you guys ever heard the dog poo joke? I'll just quickly tell this because it's kind of relevant to the story. So there's a guy who was walking down the path. He sees this big pile of brown sort of on the path, and he thinks, looks like dog poo. So he gets down and he sniffs it, and he goes, it smells like dog poo. He gets down and he touches it, and it feels like dog poo. He sticks his finger in his mouth. It tastes like dog poo. Wow, it is dog poo. Glad I didn't step in it. So yeah, if you're going to go and play a bad game, you've only got yourself to blame. So
wow, that was
Mimo,
such an
to be
old
fair,
person joke.
Doesn't have herself to blame for this one, for her pick.
Nope, I don't. My pick has nothing to do with me. It's not a game I picked. It was a game I was forced to play, and it is shit. It is an awful game. And I know the thing for me with this, like I said at the beginning, is it was really tough. I played plenty of games which I hate, which I do not enjoy playing, and I didn't like, and all of those things. But this game, it was stupid. There was no redeeming qualities. Even in my review of it, when we did it for Party Game of the Month, I was not interested. And that game is Devil Daggers. That game was just shit. I don't understand the game. I get that you guys found it enjoyable because of the challenge, but that was it. There was nothing to it. There was no, this is how you do things. There was no structure. I could have played it on an iPad and it would have been just as bad. It was just a bad game. A large part of that is because I don't find the challenge of those types of games very interesting. So there wasn't really much else in that game. And the fact that I paid money for it will haunt me till the day I die.
Haunt me.
It's funny because this one was actually my pick, and I know that Jam and Ollie actually thought it was all right, and they had a decent time with it. But even though it was my pick,
Jam and I are so fucking competitive.
I actually wasn't a huge fan of it either, Imogen. But I kind of by the end of all of it, I thought to myself, well, had a full boyfriend. I guess for now we're even. So.
Had if a boyfriend had substance? Had if a boyfriend had a story? Had if a boyfriend had me falling in love with pigeons? Devil Daggers was just a screen with these obtuse-looking 8-bit crap skulls flying at me and some sort of weird system of clicks that meant that I was going to kill them all. And it was impossible. It was not a game that was possible, and it was a stupid game, and I hate it. It was the worst game I have ever played. And I have played a lot of shit games. Like, the idea of us going to a store and you guys having to pick a bad game for me sucks to be the person who's choosing for me, because the worst game you find, I'll probably love the shit out of. You find me some weird sort of plant growing simulator, I'm down. I am there. I'm 100% there. Even if you found me a sports game, I think I'd probably find enjoyment in it if it was that bad.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting challenge. We definitely need to do this.
Yeah, you're going to find me the worst game you want to play. You're going to buy me Ori and the Blind Forest.
Again, yeah.
We'll buy you the collector's edition.
Not again. I already have it.
Oh, there you go.
I already have 2 copies of Ori and the Blind Forest.
Jesus.
Still haven't finished the game. But yeah, that was probably the worst game that I've ever played. There's been plenty of games that, like I said, I haven't enjoyed, but that game was just stupid. I would never recommend. Even people who are people who enjoy shooters, there's just nothing of that game that I could recommend. There's so many other games that I've not enjoyed that are challenging that I would recommend to people far and above over Devil Daggers.
It's funny, I suspect that we as kids have probably played games that are, when you're looking at it in a technical manner, probably way, way worse than any of this stuff. But because you're kids when you're playing it, you're far more forgiving at the time about what you actually got. So, yeah, interesting.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. So there's some stuff to not touch. I hope no one else goes out and buys those games, because we're certainly not recommending them. But it's interesting to see what kind of stuff actually, affects you and, makes you think pretty seriously about what aspects of games that you really don't connect with for whatever reason. But there you go. I think that maybe these experiences have kind of, formed us to be a little bit more clever about the sort of stuff that we pick for ourselves and, what we like to spend our time on. I'd like to think that anyway. because otherwise, if we're learning nothing, that's a little depressing. But yeah. Anywho, so that is pretty much the show for tonight. If anyone else has any non-recommendations of games that you think that nobody should ever touch with a 10-foot barge pole, let us know.
Please don't put them on our Game of the Month.
Yeah, don't do that.
Send them to Luke and only Luke.
Do not do that. Do not do that. Yeah, so send them in to us at mail@partyloaded.com. And, of course, you can get in touch with us on the usual platforms too. So social media on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at PartyLoadedShow. And we also have our content posted up in the usual spots, so you can find all of our latest episodes on iTunes and also our video content on youtube.com/channelendgame. So there you go. And next week, if all things go to plan, we should have something a little bit special organised. So without giving too much away, we have planned to get a guest on. We just need to confirm a couple of things, and hopefully that all goes together nicely. But it could be a little bit of a reunion of sorts, sort of. I don't know. Not really.
I also want to mention before we wrap up that if you are in Australia and you are planning to go to PAX, the cut-off for home delivered tickets is next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll probably listen to this on the weekend. So if you haven't seen all of the announcements, 3-day tickets are 75% sold out. We highly recommend PAX. It is like the best part of my year usually, and highly recommend. But yes, if you want them delivered to home and you don't want to have to queue up to pick them up on the day of PAX, then next Wednesday is your last opportunity to do so.
That's it. And what's the number one reason that people should go to PAX Oz, Imogen?
We'll be there.
Damn right. That's it. Glad you actually got the right one. So, yeah.
I was going to say, I'll be there, but then thought that was a bit conceited.
Yeah, that's a bit nasty. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, so looking forward to that. That's creeping up super quick now, actually. So
also, a Megathon. It's going to be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it already.
Yep. That's it. I'm very curious to see what games make the list this year.
I'm curious to see if any of you guys get picked as an Omeganaut. I think that'd be cool.
Holy crap, that would be interesting. Yeah. But the danger is that Travis probably knows a few of our names now, so maybe he'll deliberately not pick us for that reason. So I don't know.
Oh, it's random.
Is it really? I don't know.
It is.
Okay.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Travis is magic.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's random.
We don't know for sure, but yeah, no, I'll trust that it is. Yeah. No, it would be cool. I will continue to nominate every year because I would love to take part in it. It would be one of those things. And, you know, honestly, I don't have any confidence that I'd do it, like, well at all. So going in with low expectations.
Well, you only have to
fine.
beat round 1. And you're already doing better than most.
Yeah, we will see. We'll see. Yeah. So, anyway, we've got, a full month ahead of other stuff. So, a few interesting titles coming up. And I think we should probably hop off and actually play some of them. What do you guys think?
Sounds great.
Indeed.
Cool. All right. Anyway, good night, everybody. We'll be back at the same time next week. But until then, have a good one.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.